Hello and welcome. I'm Brian Beatty, serving as the Marketing Director for the Stephen and Laurel Brown Foundation in Madison, Wisconsin. And joining me today is Eric Carlson, Fellows Program Director, and Rebecca Cooks, who serves on the Fellows Program Leadership Team and as an instructor. Hey guys, it's great to be with you.
You as well. Hi.
And
So today, I'm the student and you guys are the professors. And at the time of this recording, I'm still relatively new to the foundation and the Upper House project. I've got a ton to learn. So let's talk today about the Upper House Fellows program. Tell me, what is the Fellows program and what makes it unique?
well, I can start with that. So the Upper House Fellows Program is a program that we run for students at UW-Madison. It's for both undergraduate students and graduate students who, and the point of the program is to help students who follow Christ or who are living out their lives as Christians to figure out what that means with regard to their studies that they're here in Madison to do, and as they think about their bigger lives and the direction of their lives, what their vocation is. And we're trying to also help students to get sort of a firmer grounding in their faith, their understanding of their Christian faith, and what it means for their lives.
Now, how many years has it been in existence, and how many students are currently participating as fellows?
We're now we're near the end of our fourth year as a regular program, and so we started during the COVID year of 2020. We had a small group. We had a small group of 9 students who were faithful and just an amazing group. We survived and thrived through that year, and then we've had 3 years in person. So end of the fourth year. This year we have a little over 35 students involved in the program.
Wow, that's fantastic. Rebecca, tell me, describe what a typical Upper House fellow, who are they? The people of character, integrity, what makes a good Upper House fellow?
Who is a fellow? What is a fellow? Yeah. Our fellows are wonderful. And maybe to also answer one of your initial questions about what makes fellows unique is that we have an impressively diverse group of students. And so you get fellows across the spectrum, and that makes the program very fun and dynamic. I would argue that you actually see more diversity in the fellows program than you might in some other student organizations on campus. And so that's beautiful to see. So general description of a fellow are people who would like to dig deeper into their faith and who are asking some bigger questions besides, what is my job going to be out of college? That's one of the questions, and a very good question to ask. But they are also wanting to know, okay, how does service integrate with this job? Am I actually called to do something right now as a student, and my purpose is more than just making it to the job? What is my purpose? I say I'm a Christian. Why do I say that? What is this story of Christianity that I'm a part of? And so they're allowing themselves to ask those questions and then actually letting the answers inform who they are right now as students. And it's not just, oh yeah, this is for life after college, but if I'm trying to learn how to be a good neighbor, I am thinking about that now as a student, as opposed to literally having a house and who is someone across the lawn. And so people who are asking those kinds of questions, all of our fellows are also they're very intelligent. They're very diligent and sincere. They care so much about their schoolwork and their job work and anything else that they put themselves to. They are very dedicated to those things. They're very oriented toward community. One of the first aspects of any of our fellows meetings is a communal dinner. And it's great because there's just a buzz. That's what one of our other instructors, Cam, says. He said there's just a buzz happening around dinner. People grab food, sit at a table, and then they just talk and hang out. And it's lovely. And then we have fellows, maybe this last thing, they're representing multiple nationalities, multiple ethnicities, multiple majors. So this isn't something that's, just for people in the humanities or those who are thinking about theology, but we've got those who are studying psychology and environmentalism and human genome, anything in between. So a really impressive group of people. I like our fellows a lot.
I think we counted up among the 35 or so this year that we had about 30 different majors or graduate programs represented among them. So that's pretty diverse. Well, just one other point of diversity is we are rooted in a historic understanding of Christianity. We're ecumenical, but we have students from different traditions, both Catholic and Protestant, and different denominations, and church experiences, and so that adds an additional dimension of diversity to the program as well. We've really learned a lot from one another in that regard. What makes us distinctive, we're unique, what we have in common, and we really value that kind of diversity too.
Mm-hmm.
All in the with a common goal. So it's not just diversity for its own sake, but we're trying to figure out what it means to follow Jesus together, and we bring all this diversity to that project.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is reflective of the leadership as well. Like all of the fellows instructors, I think mostly attend different congregations around Madison, and we've even had some fellows who have not subscribed to the Christian faith, but knowing that that's where we're coming from, they've been very open to exploring, okay, what do you guys have to say? And they've been some of our most engaging fellows. We've really enjoyed having them.
Yeah, that's incredible. And the growth that you have seen over the last couple of years didn't necessarily happen accidentally. The growth is happening from within. Granted, the conversation that we're having right now, one of the goals, as we talked about this, was to help to promote the Fellows Program, but you have your own cheerleaders from within, as it were. And so diversity grows because your community is growing in diverse ways as well. And so things are happening intentionally, and but then at the same time, we shouldn't necessarily be surprised at some of the really incredible opportunities that you have, and what the fellows are looking like as the students are reaching out to each other and inviting, and the community is growing from within. So should be commended for that as well. As you look at what students as they're participating, is there an end in mind? What you hope the students become because they're a part of the Fellows Program? Are there any particular goals that you'd like to see, and like metrics? Like, how do you know that it's been a success? What are these students becoming?
It's a great question. What's the final goal that we're aiming for? I mean, if students can come out of our program feeling like they have some grounding in an understanding of what their lives are about, they come out with some tools for continual study and growth with regard to their Christian faith. If they come out from the program understanding that what they're doing in life, so we think about vocation broadly, so that includes, as Becca mentioned, your work life, but it's much bigger than that. If they can understand all those different dimensions of life as being part of the call to follow Christ, then I think that we've done our job. And so we want to try to set students up well for life in basically all its dimensions. That's a huge goal, but we want to provide both sort of a foundation and some tools and guidelines for pursuing life during and then beyond their time at UW-Madison.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It is a massive goal, but it's because our lives are so interconnected. That's one of the things Upper House talks about, is that we are integrated beings. And so it's very hard to live an integrated life if you are thinking about only academics or only school, only the mind, only work, only relationships, right? It doesn't work to just look at one of those, but the entirety. So I do think that to a certain extent, we want to give fellows a mindset and perhaps a narrative by which to understand themselves as they leave college, right? Because college is maybe one of the last structured times that we really have in society before you go off and, okay, you really can make any decision you like, see how it goes. And that can feel very untethered for students. And it's new, it's different. And so how do you ground yourself? or make sense of what's happening? How do you kind of find your buoys or your markers in the water so you know where you're at and where you want to go? That's kind of the mindset we'd like to give our fellows by the time they leave.
Mm. All right, let's get into the guts of like what a typical gathering would look like. Becca, you alluded to this yummy dinner.
So good.
You
So
know,
good.
starts off the meeting. But what does the rest of the evening? What's the frequency? How often do the students meet together? And what are some of the things that they're learning? I understand that there are tracks that they can sign up for. So give me a picture of what a typical evening looks like for a fellow.
Yeah. Eric, do you want me to take some of that and then you can
For it.
toss it over to you for the tracks? Okay.
Sounds good.
Yes. So we meet every other week on a Monday night, and it's about 2 hours each meeting. So we start with a communal dinner, and it's really good. Honestly, if you asked our fellows what one of their favorite parts of the program is right now, it might just be dinner, which is fine, honestly. So we do like to order food from local restaurants and representing cuisines from around the world. So it's not just, like your sandwich bar. So that's fun, first of all. But that's everybody together, which is an important time because when you're in your tracks, you're obviously not engaging with the other tracks. So this is the time to really interact with who else is in the program. And then transitioning from dinner to the tracks, we will have a time of prayer and or worship. So it might be a fellow leading us in a song that we all sing. It could be a fellow sharing a prayer that they've written or one that was just meaningful for them. And so that's, 5 to 10 minutes. And then we transition to our track time. So currently we have 3 tracks, which Eric can start talking about and I can fill in. Next year, we're hoping to have 4. And we have about an hour to 75 minutes in those tracks. And so that's with your group of 6 to 20 people focused on a particular area. Once tracks are done, there is dessert, not just dinner, but dessert. And you can choose to stay and chat more, have dessert, or you can take dessert to go. But that would be a typical Monday night.
That's great.
Yeah, you can tell food is a big I should add also that we've had some community members and some upper house staff members cook for us, and that's coming up. We have even more coming up this semester, so that's always special as well.
So good.
So Becca mentioned we have track time. So what tracks are they're kind of like communities focused on a particular topic or even a little course. You can think of them maybe even as a kind of course. And currently this year we have 3 different tracks. So we have one that's called the Drama of Scripture that Kevin Chow leads, and I help out with that one as well. Kevin Chow is he's a professor of Hebrew Bible, and he is very super knowledgeable about that. And this track is focused on thinking about what the big story is of Scripture, how understanding the big story of Scripture can help us to understand the various parts of the Bible itself, and then to help us to understand what role do we play in the big story that God is writing in the world. So that's the Drama of Scripture track.
Can I pause you so briefly?
Yeah.
I actually had a student who is in fellows say to me that they didn't want to take the Drama of Scripture track because they didn't like theater. And so I just want to clarify that this is actually looking at a narrative and calling it a drama. It is not, in fact, a theater class. Okay. Please continue, Eric.
Good point of clarification there. I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah. Actually,
I had not either. But
the second track, Becca co-leads. So maybe you want to say something about that one, Becca.
Sure. Yes. The track that I get to co-lead with Upper House's Associate Director, Cam Anderson, is called Living the Good Life. And we essentially ask a new question about the good life each week. Questions like, what is the good life? What or who has informed your idea of the good life? What if life isn't good? And so it's trying to address the fact that we all have an idea of how we think life either should end up or how we would like it to end up. And we don't frequently come to question those assumptions until one of those assumptions is challenged. So we get to a certain area of life and it's not working the way that we hoped it would. And that can be really jarring if we haven't thought, okay, why did I expect this to work? Do I feel like I'm owed this to work? Should I be striving toward this goal, or actually should I be looking at it in a different way? And that's really what you're doing once you leave college, is trying to establish a good life. So this is hopefully giving students a framework for that.
And then the final track that we're running this year is called Serving the Common Good, and that is led by our excellent colleagues Jean Guerin and Dan Hummel. And that track is designed to help students think about when you go out into the world, you are most likely will be part of an organization broadly defined. So it could be anything from a nonprofit to perhaps an educational institution to a company. And to think about how that organizations work. Some of them are Christian, some of them are not. But to think about how that organization's work relates to what we understand God's work to be in the world, and how the organizational life relates to the mission of the church, and how you might relate, how you might live out your calling within that organization. And so they've had a lot of people from our community come in and talk about how they themselves live out their Christian faith in a whole variety of different kinds of jobs. So it's really trying to intersect to bring about, think about the intersection between one's faith and one's job in the context of an organization.
So it sounds like you're really devoted to, as you had mentioned, stating the purpose of this, that students aren't just coming and learning history or something, and facts, but really things that they can apply to their current lives and living as students. You even have some grad students that are involved, and so kind of inching away into what would be a normal life, and so how students can contextualize that. So it really is, man, I wish is there room for me? Somebody is this only for UW Madison undergrads, grad students, or do you guys envision this maybe in an adult track, or are we not allowed in?
Well, there are some things in the works, Brian. So down the road. But currently, I think you've aged out. But we are open to both to graduate students and undergrads. And I should say that that's been a fantastic thing, actually, to have grads and undergrads mixed. And so and they've really it's been actually a really nice surprise how well that's worked. But we do have another category, and that is what we call recent grads. So these are students who are within 3 years of graduating from UW.
Okay.
And we have a number of people in that category as well. People who may be still in Madison, maybe working, but it's designed for people in that whole sort of people who are close to their time here in school.
Yeah, and we have mostly UW Madison students because we're on UW Madison's campus,
right?
But we would be open and have had fellows who attend Edgewood, MATC, so it's not, you don't have to be a Badger specifically.
It's not exclusive. Yeah, that's fantastic. Tell me a little bit about the plans you might have, if you're allowed, any of the tracks that you have in mind for the academic year 24-25.
Yeah.
Eric has a new track.
Yeah. Well, we will run all three that we currently have.
Okay.
So we're excited about that. But the new track will be one that I'll be collating with Maggie Flamingo, who is a historian.
Queen, absolute queen. That's what she is.
Yeah, she is.
Wow.
Now we are both trained as historians, so. But it's not going to be a history track. It's called Christianity and Culture. And the premise of the track is that that everybody, we're all embedded in culture. Christians are embedded in culture. We live as part of cultural systems, and we want to think about what that means, how we engage the culture around us, and how we do that thoughtfully and faithfully. And so we're going to spend some time, particularly in the fall semester, thinking about how Christians in the past, on the one hand, have thought about culture, and there's been a whole range of different approaches that people have taken. And then we also want to move beyond the sort of the present Western moment and look at Christians from other cultures, contemporary non-Western cultures, and to think about what we can learn from them as we try to navigate and negotiate what we might be called to do with regard to our own culture now. So that's kind of the theoretical, if you will, framework for it. And then we're going to see what students are particularly interested in, what the burning topics are for them, and apply some of the that sort of more conceptual or theoretical stuff that we'll do to particular issues of the day. So, and we are, this is anything is open. So we'll go. We won't avoid the hard topics or the burning questions today, but we're going to let students have some input into what they think are what they really would like to move towards. So that will be that's the track that we're currently developing, and that will be offering in the fall.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Tell me, Eric, Rebecca, the Fellows Program and what is offered here to, let's say in particular, UW-Madison students or others college age from around. Is this a unique program? Is there anything like it that's happening in Madison? I'm familiar, with various parts of the country. I know the universities that do, like a Fellows Program, but is there a uniqueness to what Upper House is able to offer in particular in our Fellows Program? What makes it unique here?
I would say it's unique, particularly in Madison. And to your point, there are other Fellows Programs at other study centers around the country. A really close study center for us is Anselm House at the University of Minnesota, and they've been a great example as we tried to build our Fellows Program. But as far as what's in Madison, it does feel unique. I've heard some students describe it as a really lovely middle ground between university class and your campus ministry. And I think that is one of the gifts of the program to be taken advantage of. Is it's similar to a university class in that the caliber of leadership and the quality of content is really high. And so if you come and engage with the people who are teaching you and the content that you are giving, right, these are people that have gone to seminary, they're teaching at universities, they preach on a regular basis, they contemplate these topics deeply, they know a lot of the Christian voices or academic voices that you're reading about, like they personally know them, right? So there's just a wealth of information, not just information to be had, but also mentorship to be had. And so that's bringing together the academic side, but you get that in close proximity, right? You're sitting in a room with Eric and maybe 15 other students every other week, and he knows your name and is invested in your well-being and wants to talk to you about, okay, how does that fit with your career? Do you need a connection? Can I pray for you, right? Like your professors can't do that at a public university, but they can here. And that probably brings in the campus ministry side, that it's the level and quality of an academic education about faith and how faith plays out in life, which is what campus ministries hope to do. And I don't know that we're calling ourselves a campus ministry. Right? We fellows vary in how they see their participation with us. For some, we are their main community, and for others, it's one of the many things they do. But we do bring in those campus ministry aspects.
And you said it so well, Becca. I mean, one of the things that makes this an exciting thing for me to be part of is that we really do, as Becca said, we have a great leadership team of people with lots of experience and care for students. So that's really cool. But we also have a great, a really fantastic cohort of students. And so to be able to connect those together is an amazing thing. I think back to when I was a student. I was involved with the campus fellowship when I was an undergrad, and I would have just eaten this up. I would just love to have the opportunity to engage with the kind of content and the kind of mentors that are available in the program. So it's just really exciting to see on both ends, both from the leadership perspective and from the student perspective, to match these people up. I think it's a great thing, and has led to a lot of growth on all our parts, I think.
Yeah, maybe sorry, can I throw in one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. One other thing we're considering, Eric, if this is too soon to share, we can edit this out. But we are also asking the question, can we create a certificate of some kind for going through the Fellows Program? So right now it's a voluntary thing, and a great voluntary thing at that. But could we create a certificate so if you take a certain level of a track, or if you are in the program a certain number of years and kind of get the core curriculum, could you actually walk away with something that highlights the depth of experience and conversation that you've just had? Because we do think that the content is that significant. So that's something that's in the works, maybe for next year or the year afterwards.
Yeah. So currently you are recruiting for Upper House Fellows program for next year. And, certainly it's my hope that if any potential student or potential fellow has been, engaged with this particular conversation, that by this point, their mind would be pretty made up. But, there could be students, at these days are super busy. And so if I, for example, was 18 again and on the fence, not sure if I wanted to make that commitment, would there be anything in particular that you would say to appeal to me, to help me, cross that line, to help, consider becoming an Upper House Fellow?
First of all, if you thinking that you're busy, you probably are. Go take a nap and then think about this again. Because all of our students are so busy, have so many demands on their time, and that doesn't get better after graduation, but it is a particular kind of freneticism that's in college. I think what you're getting with fellows is going to be something that is potentially more long-lasting than some of the other commitments that you might have at college. So the things that you are taking away are going to impact you for years to come. And ideally, they're going to impact you for the sake of your well-being and your health, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually. For example, in one of our tracks, the Living the Good Life track, which also talks about calling, we talk about how your calling is much more than your work. Work is part of it, but it's not the only thing. And so it's invested in how you see your relationships and the things that are constraining your time or that you're committed to, how those are actually formative for understanding your calling. We talk about rest and Sabbath and how you were made to be in a rhythm and that you're finite. And so you actually have to attend to something like rest to continue going forward. So I think what you get to engage with while you're in fellows is it fills your soul, but then it will also help you continue to live out in a healthy way, as opposed to just asking you to give of yourself, making you more tired by the end. Initial thought.
Well said. Yeah. So students are busy. That's true. Lots of decisions need to be made about where you're going to invest your time. But I think that if you're a Christian student, then you want to be thinking both about, you have a lot to do with your classes and so on, but you want to think about how what you're here to do, what you're here to prepare for, how that fits into your bigger call in life. That's something that I think that we help you to set up well to do, is to think about why the reason you came to Madison was actually to get a degree and to study. And sometimes I think that can be seen as separate from your Christian life. These are two different compartments. So we want to try to be there to help you see how these two things fit together. So if that's so in that sense, I feel like what we have to offer is something that will serve you well, both now and going forward. And so that's one thing I would say to consider if you would, as you're thinking about the possibility of applying for the Fellows Program.
Yeah. Oh, and that's why you direct the program. You hear that? Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric Carlson, Rebecca Cooks of the Upper House Fellows Program, want to thank you for your time today. And if you're watching this and want even more information or want to know how to get connected, visit our website, upperhouse.org/fellows program, and all the information is right there for you. And I'm sure that Eric or Rebecca or anybody connected with fellows would be able to help answer your questions and help to really truly fulfill your calling here. So Eric, Rebecca, thank you again for your time, your hard work with Upper House Fellows. Truly unique and commendable program. We appreciate all you do. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Brian.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.